The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council stretched higher than any building on Earth, its crystal walls shimmering with colors that human eyes had never seen before. Commander James Reed stood at the podium, his dark blue uniform a stark contrast against the swirling patterns of light that danced across the chamber's walls. This was humanity's first appearance before the Council, and Reed could feel the weight of Earth's hopes on his shoulders. Around him, hundreds of alien delegates filled the curved seats that rose like a stadium into the darkness above. Some looked almost human, while others defied description, their forms shifting between gas and solid states. "And what method of faster-than-light travel does your species employ?" asked the head counselor, a tall being whose silver skin reflected the chamber's lights like a mirror. Their voice carried a note of amusement that made Reed's jaw tighten. "We currently use quantum fold technology for our space travel," Reed answered, keeping his voice steady. "It allows us to bend space-time in a localized field and—" Laughter erupted from the assembly. Not polite chuckles, but full, belly-deep laughs that echoed through the chamber. Reed's hands gripped the podium tighter, but his face remained calm. Quantum fold technology. A delegate from the third ring wiped tears from its 4 eyes. "That's barely better than riding a horse across the stars. Even the youngest spacefaring races have moved beyond such primitive methods." Reed noticed Dr. Thompson in the Earth delegation shifting uncomfortably in her seat. She knew, as he did, about the real breakthrough waiting back home. But they had their orders, reveal nothing about Project Infinity. The head counselor raised a hand for silence, though their lips still twitched with barely contained mirth. "Commander Reed, surely you understand that full membership in the Galactic Council requires a certain level of technological advancement. Your species has barely mastered 4-dimensional travel." "We understand the requirements," Reed replied. "Earth hopes to learn from the Council's more experienced members." This brought another wave of laughter. A delegate from the upper rings shouted down, "Perhaps we should send them some children's physics textbooks." Reed stood there, taking it all in. He thought about the facility deep beneath Earth's oceans, where the impossible had already been achieved. He thought about the test runs that had broken every known law of physics. But most of all, he thought about how sweet it would be when they finally revealed the truth. "The Council has reviewed Earth's application," the head counselor announced, their voice dripping with condescension. "While we welcome humanity as observers, full membership must wait until your species reaches a more appropriate level of development." Reed bowed slightly, playing his part perfectly. "We accept the Council's decision with gratitude." As he turned to leave the podium, a small purple-skinned delegate called out, "Don't worry, humans. In a few thousand years, you might figure out how to travel through 5 dimensions. Then we can have a real conversation." The chamber filled with laughter once more. Reed walked back to the Earth delegation, his steps measured and calm. Dr. Thompson leaned close as he sat down. "They have no idea, do they?" she whispered, a slight smile playing on her lips. Reed shook his head slightly. Not a clue. As the Council moved on to other matters, Reed's mind wandered to the messages he'd received that morning. The latest test of the 7D drive had been successful. The Horizon Breaker was almost ready for its first full deployment. Soon, very soon, this same chamber would be filled with very different sounds. He looked around at the laughing delegates, memorizing their faces. These were the same beings who would soon be begging Earth for technological assistance, the same ones who would struggle to understand how humanity had leaped so far ahead. But for now, Reed just sat quietly, playing the part of the humble representative of a primitive species. Let them laugh, he thought. The joke wasn't on humanity. They just didn't know it yet. As the session drew to a close, Reed couldn't help but smile slightly. Sometimes the best response to mockery wasn't immediate protest, but patient silence. After all, actions would speak louder than words, and the Horizon Breaker was about to make quite a statement. 3 miles beneath the Pacific Ocean, inside a facility carved into the bedrock of the Mariana Trench, Dr. Alice Thompson watched as the test chamber hummed to life. Blue light pulsed through the transparent walls, casting strange shadows across the control room. "Power levels stable at 90%, called out one of the technicians. "All 7-dimensional anchors are holding steady." The Project Infinity facility was humanity's best-kept secret. While the rest of the world saw regular space traffic and standard ships coming and going down here, they were breaking the laws of physics itself. Dr. Thompson checked the readings on her screen one more time. "Begin the phase shift," she ordered. Her voice was calm, but her hands were tight around the edge of her desk. This test could change everything. In the center of the test chamber, a small probe about the size of a car began to shimmer. At first, it looked like heat waves rising from hot pavement. Then the distortion grew stronger. The probe seemed to stretch in impossible directions, extending into spaces that shouldn't exist. "Fifth dimensional barrier crossed," announced another technician. "Sixth dimension opening now." The whole room held their breath. This was where previous tests had failed. The probe would either make it through or explode like all the others. Billions of dollars and 10 years of work had led to this moment. The probe's outline became fuzzy, then sharp, then fuzzy again. It was existing in multiple dimensions at once, something that the aliens up in their Grand Council chamber had declared impossible for humans to achieve. "Seventh dimensional barrier approaching," the lead technician said. 3, 2, 1. There was a flash of light that seemed to bend around corners that didn't exist. For a split second, everyone in the control room felt like they were looking at the world from every possible angle at once. Then everything snapped back to normal. The probe was gone. "Location confirmed," someone shouted excitedly. "The probe has successfully materialized at the target point. Full 7-dimensional transit achieved." The control room erupted in cheers. Dr. Thompson slumped in her chair, relief washing over her. 10 years of work, countless failures, and now finally, success. The intercom crackled to life. "Dr. Thompson." It was Commander Reed's voice. "I take it from the noise that we have good news." "Better than good, James," she replied, unable to keep the smile from her voice. "We just sent a probe through all 7 dimensions. The Horizon Breaker's drive system will work." There was a pause on the other end. "How long until we can install it in the ship?" Dr. Thompson looked at the readings still flowing across her screen. "Give us 2 weeks to run final checks. Then we can begin installation." "Perfect timing," Reed said. "The Council just denied our membership application, called our technology primitive." Several of the technicians who heard this laughed. If only the Council knew that in this underwater base, humans had just mastered something they thought impossible. Dr. Thompson walked over to the large window overlooking the main construction bay. There, suspended in a cradle of lights and scaffolding, hung the Horizon Breaker. The ship was beautiful, all smooth lines and dark metal, designed to cut through not just space, but reality itself. "Begin power down sequence," she ordered, turning back to her team. "Then prep for full system analysis. I want every piece of data from this test studied." As the test chamber powered down, Dr. Thompson thought about what this meant. Humanity had just stepped beyond the bounds of what was thought possible. They hadn't just matched alien technology. They'd surpassed it. The ship would be ready soon. And when it was, the laughter in the council chamber would stop. Because humanity hadn't been crawling along in the cosmic race. They'd been quietly sprinting ahead. Dr. Thompson made her way down to the construction bay. Standing before the massive ship, she placed her hand on its cool metal surface. Soon, this vessel would rewrite the rules of space travel. Soon, humanity would show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. And somewhere up above, aliens were still laughing, unaware that their jokes were about to turn into gasps of amazement. The emergency alert flashed across every screen in Earth's Defense Command. Commander Reed stood at the center of the control room, his face lit by the red warning lights. The holographic display showed what everyone had feared: pirates attacking the outer colonies. "Status report," Reed ordered, his voice cutting through the chaos of the command center. 3 mining colonies hit in the last hour, reported his second-in-command. The pirates are using some kind of advanced cloaking technology. Our regular ships can't track them. The largest screen showed footage from New Hope Colony. Buildings burned while colonists ran for shelter. The pirates' ships, sleek and deadly, appeared and disappeared at will, making normal defense impossible. Reed's communicator buzzed. It was Dr. Thompson. "James, I saw the alerts. The horizon breaker is ready." "You're sure?" Reed asked, watching another defense ship explode on the screen. "We finished the final tests yesterday. The 7D drive is fully operational." Reed took a deep breath. They had planned to reveal their new technology slowly, carefully. But now people were dying. The choice was clear. "Get me the council," he ordered. The communications officer worked quickly, and soon the familiar face of the head counselor appeared on the main screen. "Commander Reed," the alien said, not bothering to hide their annoyance. "This is highly irregular." "We have 3 colonies under attack," Reed stated firmly. "We request immediate assistance." The head counselor's expression didn't change. "As we explained before, Earth's developmental status means we cannot intervene. Your species must learn to handle its own problems." Behind Reed, another alert flashed. A 4th colony was under attack. "People are dying," Reed said, his voice hard. "Perhaps this will teach humanity the importance of developing better technology," the counselor replied. Several other council members visible in the background nodded in agreement. Reed straightened his uniform. "Thank you for your time, counselor. We'll handle this ourselves." He cut the transmission before they could respond. "Get me the president," he ordered. Moments later, the leader of the Earth Defense Force appeared on the screen. "I saw the council meeting," the president said. "You have authorization. Show them what we can really do." Reed nodded. "Patch me through to the horizon breaker." The screen split, showing Dr. Thompson in the ship's control room. Behind her, crew members moved with purpose, preparing for their first real mission. "You have permission to launch," Reed told her. "Save our people. And Alice, show them everything." Dr. Thompson smiled. "With pleasure, Commander." The feed switched to an exterior view of the underwater base. Deep beneath the ocean, massive doors opened. The horizon breaker rose from its secret dock, water cascading off its dark hull. The ship was beautiful and terrifying, like nothing Earth had ever revealed before. "All stations report ready." Dr. Thompson's voice came through clear. 7D drive powering up. Reed watched as the ship reached the surface. Around him, the command center had fallen silent. Everyone knew they were about to witness history. "Dimensional anchors engaged," Dr. Thompson reported. "Beginning transit to New Hope Colony." The horizon breaker seemed to stretch, its form distorting as it accessed higher dimensions. Then, with a flash that bent reality itself, it vanished. "Transit successful," came the report seconds later. "We're at New Hope Colony. Beginning engagement with hostile forces." Reed smiled. The pirates were about to learn why you shouldn't underestimate humanity. And after this, the Council would never laugh at Earth again. "Show me everything," he ordered. The main screen filled with footage from New Hope Colony. The colonists who had been running in terror stopped and stared upward. The pirates, who had been so confident in their superior technology, were about to learn a harsh lesson. High above the colony, reality twisted as humanity's greatest achievement prepared for its first battle. The gathering storm was about to break, and when it cleared, the galaxy would never be the same. Above New Hope Colony, the pirate ships moved with deadly grace, their weapons tearing through the colony's basic defenses. They had done this dozens of times before. Quick strikes against helpless human settlements. It was almost too easy. Then space itself seemed to twist. The pirate captain watched in confusion as his sensors showed impossible readings. Something was approaching, but not through normal space. It seemed to be coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. The horizon breaker emerged into normal space, its dark hull reflecting the light of distant stars. To the pirate's sensors, it appeared to exist in multiple places simultaneously, its outline shifting and changing as it moved through dimensions they couldn't understand. "Target locked," Dr. Thompson announced from the bridge. "They're trying to scan us, but their sensors can't make sense of our dimensional signature." Through the colony's security cameras, Commander Reed watched from Earth as humanity's greatest achievement prepared for its first real combat. The pirates had grouped their ships together, a fatal mistake. The horizon breaker's weapons powered up, but instead of firing forward like normal ships, energy began to gather at points that seemed to exist slightly outside of reality. "What kind of ship is that?" one of the pirate crews broadcast in panic. Their sensors showed the human vessel existing in 7 different places at once, each position seemingly impossible. "Begin attack pattern, Sierra," Dr. Thompson ordered. "Show them what 7-dimensional warfare looks like." The horizon breaker moved. To anyone watching in normal space, it seemed to break apart and reform constantly. One moment it was behind the pirate fleet. The next it was below them, then above them, all at the same time. The first shot fired from an angle that shouldn't have existed. It struck a pirate ship from what appeared to be the inside, bypassing shields and armor completely. The vessel exploded into fragments that scattered across multiple dimensions before burning up. "Impossible," the pirate captain screamed. "They can't shoot from there. It breaks every law of physics." "The laws of physics." Dr. Thompson smiled as she ordered the next attack. "We rewrote those laws." The horizon breaker phased through solid matter like it wasn't there, appearing inside the defensive formation of the pirate fleet. Its weapons fired again, each shot coming from 7 different dimensions at once. Normal shields were useless against attacks that existed in more dimensions than the shields could cover. 3 more pirate ships exploded. The others began to retreat, their crews panicking as they faced something beyond their understanding. Their advanced cloaking technology meant nothing against a ship that could see through 7 dimensions of space. "Should we pursue?" asked the weapons officer. Dr. Thompson looked at the fleeing ships. "Let some escape. The galaxy needs to know what happened here." On the colony below, people came out of their shelters and watched in awe. The ship that had saved them seemed to dance through space itself, breaking every rule they thought they knew about how things should move. Back in Earth's command center, Reed smiled as he watched the footage. The horizon breaker hadn't just won. It had changed the rules of space combat forever. No one would dare attack human colonies now. "Message from the Galactic Council," an officer reported. "They're demanding to know what kind of ship that is." "Send them the full technical specifications," Reed ordered. "Let them study exactly how far behind they've fallen." The horizon breaker made one final pass over the colony, its hull shifting through multiple dimensions as it moved. Below, people cheered and pointed at the impossible sight of a ship that could exist in 7 dimensions at once. "Recovery teams are moving in," Dr. Thompson reported. "The colony is secure. Should we head back to Earth?" "No," Reed replied. "Take a slow patrol through the nearby systems. Let everyone see what humanity can really do." As the ship moved away from New Hope Colony, its image rippled across space like a stone thrown into a pond. But these ripples moved through dimensions most species couldn't even see, spreading the news across the galaxy. Humanity wasn't primitive anymore. They had just changed the rules of the game. The main chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so quiet. On the massive display screen, footage of the Horizon Breakers battle played on loop. The same delegates who had laughed at humanity's primitive technology now sat in stunned silence. "Play it again," ordered the head counselor, their silver skin notably duller than usual. The footage restarted, showing the human ship moving through dimensions that most species couldn't even detect. "This must be fake," declared one of the senior delegates, but their voice lacked conviction. "Humans can't possibly have mastered 7-dimensional travel. It's impossible." The doors to the chamber opened. Dr. Thompson walked in, followed by a small team of human scientists. The room, which had once rung with laughter at humanity's expense, now fell completely silent. "Impossible," Dr. Thompson asked, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "We did warn you about underestimating humanity." She reached the central podium, the same one where Commander Reed had stood during their rejection. With a few quick commands, she brought up the technical specifications of the Horizon Breaker. "As you can see," she began, "the 7D drive works by anchoring the ship to 7 different dimensional planes simultaneously. This allows us to—" "Stop," called out a delegate from the upper rings. "You mean to tell us that humans not only discovered 7-dimensional space, but found a way to exist in all 7 at once?" Dr. Thompson smiled. "Would you like a demonstration?" She pressed a button on her control pad. Outside the council chamber's massive windows, space seemed to bend. The Horizon Breaker appeared, its form shifting between dimensions as it moved in ways that made several delegates feel sick just watching. "By the ancient stars," whispered the head counselor. "How long have you had this technology?" "Long enough to perfect it," Dr. Thompson replied. "While you were laughing at our primitive quantum fold drives, we were breaking barriers you thought impossible to break." The chamber erupted in confused discussions. Some delegates argued about the implications, others desperately tried to understand the physics involved, and a few simply stared at the Horizon Breaker in shock. "The technical specifications have been sent to all council members," Dr. Thompson continued. "You'll find that humans have not only mastered 7-dimensional travel, but we've also developed entirely new branches of physics to make it possible." A young delegate from a species known for their scientific achievements raised their hand. "But the power requirements, the computational complexity, how did you solve these problems?" "The same way humans have always solved problems," Dr. Thompson answered, "with determination, creativity, and the desire to prove others wrong." The head counselors stood, raising their hands for silence. "Dr. Thompson, in light of these developments, the Council would like to formally apologize for our previous dismissal of human achievements." "Apology accepted," she replied with a small smile. "Though I should mention that the Horizon Breaker isn't our only breakthrough. It's just the first we've chosen to reveal." This statement sent new waves of whispers through the chamber. The species that had once mocked humanity now looked at their representatives with a mixture of fear and respect. "Commander Reed sends his regards," Dr. Thompson added, gathering her materials. "He suggested that next time, before laughing at a species' technology, you might want to make sure you're seeing everything they can do." As she turned to leave, the young scientific delegate called out, "Wait. Would humanity be willing to share some of this knowledge?" Dr. Thompson paused at the door. "Earth is preparing a series of technological exchange programs. But this time, we'll be the teachers, not the students." Outside the chamber, the Horizon Breaker continued its impossible movement through multiple dimensions, a constant reminder of how thoroughly humanity had shattered the galaxy's expectations. The laughter had stopped. The mockery had ended. And in its place was the dawning realization that humanity hadn't been crawling to catch up. They had been quietly leaping ahead all along. The emergency session of the Galactic Council looked very different from their previous meetings. Instead of rising to the podium as a supplicant, Commander Reed stood at its center as an honored guest. The same delegates who had once mocked humanity now sat forward in their seats, eager to hear his words. "The Horizon Breaker was just the beginning," Reed announced, his voice firm and confident. "Today, we'll demonstrate the full capabilities of human innovation." Behind him, a massive holographic display showed Earth's fleet emerging from their hidden bases. Ships of all sizes rose from underground bunkers, underwater facilities, and secret orbital stations. Each vessel carried the revolutionary 7D drive system. "By the cosmic void," gasped one of the senior delegates. "How many ships do you have?" "Enough to defend every human colony," Reed replied. "And enough to help defend our allies, once we have some." The head counselor, their silver skin now shimmering with nervous energy, stood up. Commander Reed, the Council has voted unanimously to approve Earth's full membership. We would be honored to call humanity our allies. Reed allowed himself a small smile. And the vote count? 312 in favor, 0 against, the head counselor replied. A historic unanimous decision. The same delegate who had once suggested sending Earth children's physics books now leaned forward. Commander, my species would be very interested in establishing a direct alliance with Earth. As would mine. And mine. Calls came from all around the chamber as species after species sought to align themselves with the new power in the galaxy. Reed held up his hand for silence. Earth remembers those who mocked us, he said quietly. The chamber fell silent. But we also remember those who showed kindness, even when they thought we were primitive. He gestured to a small delegation from a minor species. They had been the only ones to defend Earth during the previous council session. Our first technological exchange will be with them, Reed announced. They proved they could be friends, even when they thought we had nothing to offer. That's the kind of ally Earth wants. Dr. Thompson entered the chamber, pushing a floating platform that held what looked like a small box. This is a miniaturized 7D scanner, she explained. It can detect movement through all 7 dimensions of space. Consider it a gift to the Council. The delegates stared in amazement as she activated the device. Suddenly, they could see the true complexity of space around them, the layers upon layers of reality that had always been invisible. Amazing, breathed the head counselor. Simply amazing. Reed took the podium again. Earth proposes the formation of a new division within the Council, the Department of Multidimensional Studies. We offer to lead this department and share our understanding of higher dimensional physics. Approved instantly, the head counselor declared, not even calling for a vote. No one objected. As the session continued, more and more of Earth's true capabilities were revealed. The ships were just the beginning. They had developed medical techniques that operated through multiple dimensions, communication systems that were truly instantaneous, and defense systems that could protect entire solar systems. We never stopped advancing, Reed explained to the awed council. We just stopped broadcasting every step we took. The head counselor approached Reed privately after the session. Commander, I must ask, how did humanity advance so far without anyone noticing? Reed looked at the alien leader steadily. Because you gave us the greatest gift possible. Underestimation. While everyone laughed at our primitive technology, we were free to experiment, to take risks, to try the impossible. He gestured to where the horizon breaker could be seen through the chamber's windows, its form still shifting through multiple dimensions. Sometimes, Reed added, the best way to surpass expectations is to let others think you have none. The head counselor nodded slowly, finally understanding. Humanity hadn't just advanced technologically, they had outmaneuvered the entire galaxy strategically as well. The age of mockery was over. The age of human leadership had begun. 1 year after the revelation of the Horizon Breaker, the galaxy had changed beyond recognition. The massive central hall of the new Galactic Alliance sparkled with light from 7 different dimensions, a permanent reminder of humanity's gift to the stars. Commander Reed stood at his office window in the Alliance headquarters, watching ships move through the space lanes. Some still used traditional drives, but more and more now carried the simplified version of human 7D technology that Earth had started sharing with trusted allies. Commander, his assistant called from the door. Dr. Thompson's team is ready for the ceremony. Reed nodded and straightened his new uniform, dark blue with the golden insignia of the Alliance's Science Division. As he walked through the halls, aliens of all species bowed their heads in respect, not out of fear, but out of genuine admiration for what humanity had achieved. The main ceremony hall was packed. Representatives from over 500 species had gathered for this historic moment. At the center stage, Dr. Thompson stood next to a large covered object. 1 year ago, she began her speech. Many in this room thought humans were barely better than spacefaring children. Today, we gather to share another breakthrough. She pulled the cover off, revealing a glowing cube that seemed to exist in all 7 dimensions at once. The first multi-dimensional power core. Clean energy that can power entire planets, drawn from the space between dimensions themselves. The crowd erupted in applause. Reed smiled, remembering how different the reaction had been just 1 year ago, when humans first spoke in this chamber. Earth remembers its friends, Dr. Thompson continued. The species who showed us kindness when they thought we were primitive will be the first to receive this technology. As for our former mockers, she paused, looking around the room. They'll have to prove themselves worthy of such trust. In the audience, Reed spotted the former head counselor, no longer leading but still representing their species. The alien's silver skin had lost some of its shine, perhaps from the humility they had learned. After the ceremony, Reed met with the Alliance's new leadership council. Humans held 3 of the 7 seats, a recognition of their technological superiority and diplomatic skill. The pirate attacks have stopped completely, reported one of the alien leaders. No one dares challenge ships that can fight through 7 dimensions. And the education programs? Reed asked. Humans are excellent teachers, another council member replied. Though many species are still struggling to understand even basic multidimensional physics, Reed walked to the council chamber's window. Below, he could see the new Academy of Multidimensional Studies, where human scientists taught the galaxy's brightest minds. It was strange to think that just a year ago, those same brilliant aliens had laughed at humanity's primitive technology. Commander Reed called a young alien student who had been invited to observe the council meeting. Is it true that humans planned this all along, letting everyone think you were primitive while you advanced beyond us? Reed smiled. Not exactly. We simply learned long ago that sometimes the best path forward is to let others underestimate you. It gives you room to work, to think, to achieve without pressure. Dr. Thompson joined them at the window. Look there, she said, pointing to a new ship rising from the spaceport. Its hull shimmered as it moved through multiple dimensions, the first vessel jointly built by humans and aliens. That, she continued, is the real victory. Not proving others wrong, but teaching them to see new possibilities. Reed nodded. The revenge of proving their mockers wrong had been sweet, but the real triumph was in lifting the entire galaxy to new heights. Humanity hadn't just claimed their place among the stars. They had reimagined what was possible. As the sun set, casting light that rippled through 7 dimensions, Reed thought about how far they had come. The laughter had stopped. The mockery was long forgotten, and in their place was something better: respect, partnership, and a future brighter than anyone had imagined. Humanity had risen not just to prove others wrong, but to prove something to themselves, and in doing so, they had changed the galaxy forever.